guys. This is Shireen. Welcome to my channel. Hi guys, how are you doing? Um, Dee and I, we are here to discuss. Dee, go ahead.
Oh, well, I think everyone has heard, hi everybody, of the tragic news, really, of Bruce Willis's recent diagnosis of aphasia. And we just wondered, it made us think about how difficult that must be as a partner to suddenly realize or hear that the love of your life or your partner is suddenly diagnosed with a chronic illness, and how that affects not just the person who's been diagnosed, but the partner as well. And we were wondering if we could hear from people who it's happened to them and how they navigated through that and how it might have felt.
Yeah, because I love Bruce Willis, to be real honest.
Me too.
And I am sure it is bittersweet moment for fans, right? How tragic, how shocking it is. I mean, he is one. I grew up on this guy on the screen, and he's only 67. So
Yeah.
I was, I felt horrible for him and his family, right?
Yeah, me too.
So, he's retiring from acting. He's diagnosed with this horrible disease. I mean, it's tragic. It's awful, right? I mean, we I don't know.
It just goes to show you that it doesn't matter how much money you have, how famous you are, I mean, he seems to have stayed in good shape. But
Hmm.
it doesn't seem to matter. We're all vulnerable, you know? We're not all protected that way. It can happen to any one of us.
I know it. I mean, that is why I was really, I'm thinking that it must have even been worse than what it really is for him for his family to come out and put out a news like that. Maybe they have been struggling for a while. They had to get the diagnosis. I mean, how horrible it must have been for this family.
Well, a good point. Yeah, because by the time they're letting the public know about it, it
Mm-hmm.
it means that he can't hide it anymore. Like everyone's
Exactly.
noticing. Yeah, and how hard that must be for him, especially when he plays these kind of hero roles, and um he comes off so strong, and but he's so funny and he's got such charisma, and then to have those things start being robbed from him bit by bit, and he knows it's happening, but you can't
And
you
he can't
can't
do anything
stop it.
about it. His
Yeah.
money can't save it. His money is as good as, I mean, it's good that you have somebody to take care of you, but I mean, your money can't really help. It won't be helping the situation. So let us dive in here a bit, and let us ask the question: what is aphasia?
Hmm.
Right? What is really aphasia? Because I mean, this is a disease that a lot of people, hold on. This is a disease, sorry guys. This is a disease that a lot of people um don't really talk about, or I didn't even know of this disease until, when I saw the diagnosis with him.
Hmm.
Because I remember when what's his name was diagnosed with, let me tell you what his name was, Michael J. Fox.
Oh yeah.
And everybody know what Parkinson's disease was, and he was diagnosed at 29 years old.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, Will Smith is in a better position than he did at the time. But yeah, but what is this disease? It is a neurological disorder which affect the cognitive ability. And what does
Hmm.
that mean for people, right? That means that you will no longer can put your words together, right?
Right.
Unable to produce or comprehend languages, right? That is what it is. It is, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even,
So
I
it
think it has
really,
something to do with even like it will lead to Alzheimer's, I think,
yeah. Well,
right?
and you can't write. So really, like all that starts to deteriorate, and so it leaves you unable to properly communicate with people
Right.
around you, and how, ah, gee, how isolating that must and frustrating that must feel.
Because I heard that people, I was looking at some videos and people were saying that Bruce was, rambling when he had his interview in 2013. So people are thinking that this goes as far as 2013, early signs of his disease, right? And it's just horrible. And like to the effect of it, like he's going to be unable to put together a sentence, he's going to stutter over words,
Use the
he's going
wrong
to
words.
be, it's going to be
Yeah.
horrible, difficult with words, right? But they said that he's going to have difficulty with words, but he's going to, his intellect is going to be intact, right? His thoughts, his ideas, his knowledge are still there, so it's all in his head, but his
Yeah,
communication will be interrupted, right?
that's terrible.
That
Yeah.
right. So that mean he could be sitting here, want to say something, and he just can't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? Is speaking, is reading, is writing, is listening, right? All these are going to be affected. And it's horrible. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, and I
it,
feel sorry because this is his second marriage too, and
mhm.
he has older children. He has young children now. He has said that his wife is the love of his life, and like he found happiness again, and you just feel like this is what happens. Like you feel like he was at his peak and then gone.
Yeah, I want to touch on something though, um, which would probably take the argument towards, because based on what we like to talk about is relationship.
Yes.
And seeing that you brought up his wife is now 43 years old and he is 67 years old. So that is a 23, 24 years difference between the both of them.
Mhm.
Now, my thing is, he's 67 and she is 43. Now, that's a big age gap. Plus, he has young kids. One
Mhm.
is 9 and one is 7. And so some of these things, I'm not saying it is not a love match, but sometimes we need to understand that when you go with older men, like when you choose to go with an older partner, sometimes these are the things you have to face.
Right.
Because if when one person is over a decade older than you have to you have to think about these things, that what if, because
Yeah.
she's in the prime of her life and he is in his retirement age, because in we in North America, or people usually considered age 60 as a retirement age, right?
Mhm.
So now he's in a different stage in his life, and she's just, because I'm 44 and she's 43. I just even recently now know what I want, know what I like. I just come into my womanhood like I am 100% sure of my why I'm here. I know what I stand for and what not,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
she now is going through that. Plus, she have young kids. I remember when my kids were like 7. These
Mhm.
kids need their parent. And
Yes.
then to have their father going to be in that state, because ultimately he's going to be a baby. You're going to have to treat him like a baby, like an adult child. That is what
Yeah.
is going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
That is the effect of it. I mean, they don't want to talk about it, and they didn't, they weren't talking about it the way they should. But I know a lot of nurses that deals with people who have this neurological disorder, and that is what happened.
Right.
They are just big babies, right?
Well,
Just
they're
big.
just helpless, but the sad fact of all that is if within his head he isn't a baby,
Right.
right?
But it can get
It's
worse
not the
though. It
same as
can get worse.
dementia. Yeah, yeah, it can, and it can also rob him of motor movements eventually, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's a debilitating disease. It's a cruel. It sounds like a very cruel disease,
It is,
and
it is, it is actually. So they said the cause of this it is the most common is strokes, right?
but they
Strokes.
never ever said that he had a stroke of any. Not
They
that they
never did.
would, and
But
maybe he
sometimes,
did. Yeah.
but sometimes some people have mild strokes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True.
Right. So they're saying that strokes, head trauma, they are
Mm-hmm.
saying degenerative condition, episodes in the brain or brain tumor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the cause, some of the cause that can cause this to happen to him,
Yeah.
right? And so, when you have relationship, comes back down to our core conversation here is that this woman is 43 years old. She's going to be left with a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. Money is not all. The kids need their
That's it. And the money
father.
isn't their concern. It's yeah, it's the process. It's the saying goodbye. But even before that, here they are together, and it's not just him grieving this diagnosis and having to come to terms with it in one way or another, but she too is grieving and
Right.
and going through those steps of grief and denial and anger, and maybe they're angry at the same time, maybe they're angry at different times, there's depression, you know. And how do you deal, like, how do you take this on is always what I like. It is one of those things that if something is really going to test your relationship, it's going to be something like this.
But but you're talking about testing relationship. It is far more griever than that. There's
Mm-hmm.
more testing the relationship. The thing is, it's almost like when somebody do not have proper, like they are not able to comprehend, or
Mm-hmm.
their cognition is being interrupted, or their communication is being interrupted, it will first of all, the depression that is going to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That alone is going to, it's just tragic. It's,
Yeah.
and it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse.
Well, and this is it. And how do you find the support you need? And not everyone, you have to find people to talk to who really understand, because even I can't understand it really. I can listen and help here and there and wait, but to truly understand the whole dynamic of what this must feel like for them or people in that similar situation, you have to experience it to truly understand. You can't say you understand without experiencing something like this.
No, you can't. This you can't. And the wife must be just, the funny thing is, at first, when I always see Debbie Moore, which is the
Hmm.
ex-wife, she's always around.
Hmm.
And when they made the announcement,
Hmm.
I understand why she's involved, because she's his friend, and plus she has 3 daughters with
Hmm.
Bruce. But what I didn't understand is she's always around.
Hmm.
I know for me, if my husband is divorced to his ex-wife, isn't that a moment of privacy?
Well, yeah, I've never understood it. At the same time, I'm in awe of it. It's how do they do it? How do they all stay
Exactly.
such close friends, and and then deal with this together? And it's not just the ex-wife, it's the wife. Like, even they seem to be friends and act like family. It's quite It's not common, let's put it that way. I mean, it would be great if more people were like that, but it's very rare. I feel it's rare. And growing up, two parents, they did not speak to each other unless absolutely necessary when they divorced. Like this is not. You're.
I'm wondering if he was going through it for a long time or for a while, and then they combine, they come together, because it seems odd to me when every time I see them or with pictures, they're always together. Even, I mean, in the news, it says that Debbie Moore was, when they had under quarantine, Debbie Moore was tucked in a place with Bruce by herself.
Hmm. And with
That
with
seems
the
to me
kids,
odd.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
wondering if they have an understanding. They
Or
must.
maybe he couldn't be on his own because they already knew.
Okay. Yeah. But anyway, that is very admirable of the wife to have the ex-wife. And then the ex-wife, I mean, she's 59,
Hmm.
so she's closer to his age. So I believe that she's in the more mindset to really deal with Bruce, because just listen to me to see what I'm making sense. What I'm trying to say is that the wife is so young, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes we take on these things as we get older. We are more likely to expecting like things like we know that as we get 60 or we are 50, we are in our 70s or so on and so forth, we will now be somebody that we know would have passed. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Of course, yeah,
So
yeah.
then we are more inclined to seeing disease, health issues. Not saying that the wife isn't, but she's just in that stage of her life. And like Debbie Moore and Will is in a different stage of their lives, right?
Hmm.
Because people have different stage in their life, even though they have successful marriage, because he and his wife been married for 13 years, as
Yeah,
well as him and Debbie Moore was married for 13 years.
yeah.
But I mean, I don't understand. It's horrible. The whole situation is just
Oh,
is
yeah. It really, and the children and the stress of it all, and it's not just say you or me having that happen to say our partners, and it's more of a private thing. It's like they have to let the world know, so they can't even keep it to themselves even.
right.
Like I just it's beyond my capacity to understand, but I know people who have been caregivers to their spouses, and until the last days kind of thing. And there's been a lot of the emotions dealing with that. And you see even the caregiver becomes exhausted because there's not really that much. I mean, now they have the money, I'm sure, to bring in proper care, but there's always somebody there when you have like a nurse or whatever. It's never just you and your partner anymore and kids. There's always another body there if you're lucky to have somebody that you can afford to help take care. But for the regular, like common average person who can't afford care, and it's exhausting.
I want to say, anybody have any questions or want to add anything? You can go ahead and put it in the chat, and we will talk about it. But I have a question here. It says here, is it harder for a man to be caring for his wife with chronic illness?
Yeah, that's interesting because here we see that he's the one who's going to be suffering, and the nurturer woman seems to be the common, naturally will do the caring. But how often when it's the other way around, does the man like truly provide that care? Is it more difficult for them just
To care
naturally?
for the wife.
Mhm.
If it was the other way around, I'm sure if the person is in love with that person, they will care. But here another question: what if you married a man, and then, or you married a woman, vice versa, and they are 30 years your junior now, and that person takes sick. Remember, you're still young, maybe say you're 35, 40, in your 40s. Your husband got sick. It takes a long it I mean, it stresses you out, and then for years you've been taking care of that sick partner.
Mhm.
Would it be fair to say that you should put that person in a home so that you can move on with your life, or is it so that the two of you should be suffering? Because that is some questions people have to ask themselves. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Say I'm married, my husband got sick, I'm still young, I'm still vibrant, I still have some life in me, I still can find a husband, I'm young, whatnot.
Mhm.
Should I? And then my husband takes sick, he's not able to, his cognition is gone, he can't communicate, he doesn't is it doesn't have any, he have Alzheimer's basically.
Mhm.
And then I mean, some people with Alzheimer's, they died right away or within a year, but some people last a long time. It could
Yeah.
be up to 10 years, depending on how you care for that person.
Yeah.
Now, should I suffer for 10 years, or should I move on?
That is, it's, oh my goodness, that is so tough. Now, there's a certain thing of love. If there's
I can
somebody
hardly
there.
hear you. You have to speak up a bit.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you
I
hear me
can
now?
hear you
Okay.
now.
So there's a certain thing. I guess it really depends. I mean, that's different for each situation. I know years ago of a couple, um, they were older. His wife was dying from, I don't know if it was Lou Gehrig's, like ALS or something, and very sad. And he ended up meeting somebody else while his wife was still alive. And he brought that person to his wife, and his wife was happy for him. And then they both cared for his wife until she passed, and then they got married. And so that's kind of I was quite surprised in how that's true. Like in that's love. You want your partner to be
To be
happy,
happy, or
right?
maybe that is something for us to ponder, like it's a conversation for us to have. And says, darling, if say something happened and you become you lose your memory or something like that,
Hmm.
what should I do? Do you want me to, you know i- do you want me to stay single until you passed? Or, that could be a question for somebody, but it could also be a question for somebody to say, okay, you know what? I need to be dating somebody maybe closer to my age. Not saying that it won't happen to somebody closer to your age, but usually this happens 67. Maybe if he was married to somebody close to his age, it would
But
be.
today's day and age, 67 isn't really old. And
No, it's
and the
not.
fact of the matter is for him, I feel like 67. I mean, he still had at least, like, I would say 20 years in him if all went well. It's another 20 years that they'd be together for sure. If not more, she'd be 63. Like, that's what, like, we don't expect these kinds of diagnoses to
No,
happen, you
at that
know?
age.
Yeah. And so it's just
But
it's sad.
Michael J. Fox
Yeah.
was diagnosed with Parkinson at 29 years old. So, I
Well,
mean, life is not guaranteed. We're not, I mean, he made it to 67, right? So he has a whole life ahead of him. And the
hmm,
thing is, he was just pumping out movies over, and,
yeah.
he was working. So it's a tragic for, not for only him, but for his kids, the
Well,
young
here's
kids.
a question to ponder for people to ponder. The partner they have now, people are currently with now. If you suddenly went to the doctor and they were given this kind of diagnosis where it's it's lengthy, like you don't die tomorrow kind of thing. It's a gradual deterioration.
Right.
It could be over several years. Would you want, like, would you look at your partner and really feel like, yes, I'll be there for you? Or would you start to be filled with, oh, dread, I don't want to be with this person?
That's why I stick a pin. Stick a pin. That is why when these men and women meet these women or these men,
Hmm.
you cannot be with somebody, because I have a friend that said to me, he was with this, he's living in Vancouver, and
Hmm.
he told me that he was dating this lady from Hong Kong,
Hmm.
but she was quite polished, right? She was
Right.
quite polished and everything, and he had a heart murmur. So he was sick for a while, and then she wouldn't care for him. She said to him he needs to go, even though it was bad, but it wasn't that bad, right? He just
Okay.
had to be careful for a couple of months or so on. And she couldn't care for him. She wasn't caring for him. So when he got through it, he finished the relationship because he's saying, okay, she's not able to care for me, or she's not willing to care for me.
That's right. That's right.
So these are questions these men and these women need to ask. Do the person love me enough if something should happen to me tomorrow? Are they
Right.
going to care for me? Take the money out of it.
Well, that's it. And how many people really think that way before they commit? It's
Not
funny.
many.
No, my father used to always ask me. I remember when I got married and I was going to get married, and my father always said, "Do you love him? Do you really love him?" And I said, "Yes." And he says to me, "So if he got hit by a car and was paralyzed in a wheelchair tomorrow, would you still love him?" And I just said, "Well, what a horrible thing to say." And he said, "No, something you should be thinking about."
Exactly. Exactly. So that is, there you go, folks. That is something for you. If your spouse or partner got hit in a car, would you still love that person? And that is a question you need to ask each
But
other.
yeah, would you take care of your partner like, say, Christopher Reeve's wife did for years after? Here he is, remember Superman?
Mhm.
Um, and he gets paralyzed from a tragic accident just riding his horse. And he's paralyzed. He can't, he speaks, but he can't, he's paralyzed from the neck down, really the head down. And their lives are changed forever. And yet she stood by him because she truly loved him. But I know of people who who have said, would it be, um, would it be a horrible thing if I left my partner? I can't stand it anymore. I'm so tired. I can't take care of him. And, some of them with dementia, they go through an anger stage and they say mean things to you.
Mhm.
And it's uncontrollable, really, because so much is going on, and this deterioration in the brain. And then, but the partner has to take it in a sense and know that it's just part of it, and not take it too personally, which is difficult. And they do want to divorce, some of them, because it's so difficult. And can we blame them?
No, we can't. Well, you know what? You took a hold, and I believe that if you truly love that person,
Hmm.
really and truly love that person, even if you put that person into a home,
Yeah.
your heart cannot allow you not to go visit that person and just forget about that person. No, you won't be able to
Hmm.
do that. I mean, yes, I see where you need help. If you need help, you need help, right? But
Yeah.
that doesn't deter from being there for that person. That's the
Exactly.
difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that is the
Exactly.
difference.
Yeah.
So that's a question people should be asking themselves. People should be asking themselves, okay, if I do get involved with an older guy, this is a possibility.
It doesn't even mean an older one. It's just any partner. When you
Any
are
partner.
committing, fully committing to somebody, you've got to understand that it's not always rosy. and that things can happen. And so are you committed through the thick and thin, I guess is how you would say it, but because you can't just suddenly abandon them when things go
Okay,
not.
guys, so if you are just joining, we are talking about Bruce Willis. We are talking about his situation. What I meant by situation, Bruce is retiring from acting because he has um,
Aphasia.
aphasia. He's unable to put sentence together. He stutters over words. You know, he has difficult with words, but maybe depending on where in his brain is affected, he will still have his intellect will still be intact. His thoughts, ideas, and knowledge will be still there. We don't know which part of it, but I suspect if the family comes out and tell the public that he's sick, that mean it's not, it is serious, right?
Yeah.
Is people noted in the past that he was his interview were not being communicated properly, right? His thought process wasn't there when he gave an interview, and this sickness is affect your speaking, reading, writing, and listening. Okay.
Hmm.
So that is what it is. So, what we're trying to do here tonight is to spread awareness to people that this can happen, right? When you have a relationship, nothing is guaranteed. He has a 43-year-old wife who is, I mean, she have young kids. Her last child is 7, her eldest is 9, right? She must be devastated, right?
Hmm.
That she's going to lose the father of her child, right? So I know a lot of people don't know much about this neurological disease, right? It could cause, they said that it could cause from a stroke, head trauma, degenerative condition, brain episode, or brain tumor. We don't know the detail of what is happening here, right? All we know is that he has the disease,
Hmm.
right? So we are just here to say, would you stay with your spouse if this occur? Or even better, we should be asking the question, if we are in a car accident, as Dee had stated earlier, if and your husband is paralyzed, would you stay with him? Right? So these are very important questions to be asking yourself when you have a relationship. Luckily, he has money, right? And his money can get him a far away, but lots of us don't have that kind of money,
No. No.
right? And so you have to take care of your spouse, right? With your own money and your own time. You won't be able to have nurses coming along and whatnot, not. So,
Hmm.
so that's if you're just joining, that's what we are where we are at. And we are asking, if you guys have any questions, you can throw it out there. Or if you have any thoughts after, you can also send it to us.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
go ahead, Dee.
No, no, you covered that well, and also if anybody's been through it, how did they manage? Did they find that they had a lot of support, very little support? Was it easy to ask for help? Not easy. Um, how, did they feel the person who or their partner who was sick got the attention, that got the care, but the caregiver being you didn't? Um, and how do you navigate all that in our system when you don't have all this excess money to spend on, you know, this kind of care? And we don't have a system in place here where it's completely free. So,
Exactly. And if it is free, you have to wait a long time in the lineup.
yes, it's a very difficult situation.
Right. I mean, this disease won't get any better, not going to get any better. So sometimes you have your spouse or your partner, they take sick, they won't get any better, right?
That's
Remember, guys, both party are grieving, right? So the wife is gonna need um she's gonna need some therapy, right?
Yeah.
To help her through this, right? Because loss is sometimes people need therapy for loss,
Of
because when you
course.
lost your best friend, it is it is devastating, right?
Yeah.
And the fear that goes around it, and he's going to be like an adult child, right?
Yeah.
And people just have to be caring for him now. I'm happy that his ex-wife is there, because I mean, at a time like this, it is lovely that she's there,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But this neurological disorder, it's not good, right? Because it's going to affect his cognitive ability to
That's right.
function, to do daily things.
That's right. That's right. And the frustration, I can't even, I feel so bad. I cannot relate to that. And, he might get upset, or things can happen. He might fall or whatever. It's just, and his
Yeah,
wife
he might
is
fall, he
always
might, yeah.
on, she has to always be on alert. I don't think people realize how that contributes to or turns into PTSD for a lot of people, post traumatic stress disorder, because you're always on. You can't deep sleep. You're always listening and worrying and ready to pounce. It's very difficult. Very hard on the caregiver.
Right, very hard. But I mean, it's life, and it's a part of something that some of us has to deal with, right? We just you know what? Some people think that maybe it caused from some head trauma that he has done, because he has done a lot of action movies, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, but that is what he's gonna have in his life. That is his I don't want to say death sentence.
No. Well, and
I
it's
am
just
not laughing, guys. It's
yeah.
hurtful, because I love this guy. I grew up with him, right? I
Yeah.
remember Dayat and Moonlighting.
Me too.
He's, yeah, he always said, what was his favorite speech? He says, live life. I think, I don't remember what it was, but he says, live it up. Yes, live
You
it
live
up.
it up. Yeah. Live
Live
it
it
up.
up.
Yeah. Yeah. And he
Live it
did.
up.
And yeah, well, look, he's come a long way since his bartending days. And and he just had it, he just he had a great career. We wanted to see more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's he's retiring, I guess is what we could say. But like we were saying, it doesn't matter how much money you have or anything. You are not invincible. We're all it's the poor and the rich when it comes to diseases and things, and it's we're all equally vulnerable.
Right. And that is why, guys, we're going to end on this note. That is why you have to choose the right partner, right? Because if somebody don't love you, they're not going to care for you when you're going through something like this, right?
Right.
And I'm going to tell you a story. I was reading, actually I saw it online. This girl, I think they live in Australia, and this guy, he is like I think he builds in residential home or something, or no, commercial building. He's an investor, and he has all this money. I mean, he's not wealthy like Bruce Willis, but he has money. And he met this girl, and then like 6 months into the relationship, he found out that he was diagnosed with cancer.
Hmm.
And then he's there fighting for his life, and she's there spending his money on Louis Vuitton purses and all that. And so he noted that when he was going through chemotherapies and all that, she's there still shopping. And then right after he beats the cancer, right, he had to make a decision that he has to get rid of her, because she didn't have his best interest at heart, because her she she's not there for love, she's there for money.
Yeah. That's a hard way to learn that. That's awful.
Right. And he
Yeah.
had to, I mean, he loved her, right? Because at one point he was trying to get all of his stuff back from her, which I thought that was crazy. But he felt so strongly about it that he took her to court and tried to get his stuff back from her. Like he said that she turned up at court in $10,000. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it's a purse or something. I didn't even know that you can buy a purse for $10,000.
Oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
She bought a purse, $10,000. I don't know if it's the euro, it must be euro or something like that. But he says her whole entire outfit was about $50,000 and he paid for all of it because he bought her a car and he's trying to get it back. But then the court ruled that it was a gift. She didn't
Right.
pry it out of his hand.
No, no. But seriously, used. And
He
then when
was
the,
used
yeah, and then
and
when
he
you're at
felt
your most,
abused.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so this will teach us a lesson because our topic really is on relationship and we want to bring it to you that it is important for you to choose the right partner because it says through sickness and in health, right? And it's
yeah,
not everybody is through sickness and in health. You have gold diggers out there, so you have to be careful. And you have
right.
nice people out there also, right? You have
Yeah.
sensitive people out there. As soon as you get sick, they want to just put you into the hospital and turn them back against you. They don't even go and visit you. They're waiting for you to die. Right? I mean, Bruce Willis' situation is somewhat different because his ex-wife is there. You have older kids. But what about people who don't have anybody? I mean,
Hmm.
he has five children, right? He has
Yeah.
two, which is his last wife, and then he has three with them. So he has protectors, right?
Hmm.
So he
Yeah.
has people to protect him, even if that's his wife intended, which it is not. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying. But what about people who are vulnerable who don't have any family,
Yeah. That's
right?
right. And there's a
They have
lot
to
of people like
choose.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, D, you have anything last minute to say in pertaining to relationship? Because yeah,
No, no, just that, it's hard to navigate. It's hard sometimes to really feel out who's truly sincere and who isn't. But like we've always said, trust your gut, look at the red flags, and listen to us on this Friday when we talk about step 2, which is know what you want. Once you know yourself, which was step 1, now we need to work on know what you want. And these uh, to find the right person for you.
right, guys. I think we have summed it up all. We have said it all. Um, Anybody have any comments or question? They can put it in the chat box when they watch this video. I mean, we are just trying to bring awareness to the disease, right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of people haven't heard about it before Will Smith. Hear me.
Not Will Smith. You still have Will
He's on
Smith on your mind.
before Bruce
For sure.
Willis has diagnosed with it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, we need to be aware of it. I mean, Parkinson's disease, a lot of people know about it.
Hmm.
But aphasia, a lot of people don't know anything about it. So,
Yeah.
guys, you can read up on it. You can look up on it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I have because sometimes I think since I've been looking up on it, I thought that, oh my God, I have to check myself because sometimes my memory isn't there. But guys, at least I can have the conversation now with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine? He has to quit his job that he loved dearly,
Yeah.
right? Guys, have a good night. I'll talk to you guys again. Join us on Friday. D and I, we love you.
Hmm.
Subscribe to my channel. Please do, because that's the only way we can keep doing this, right? It's called Shireen's Video. Right, guys? Go look me
Hmm.
up on YouTube. Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you. Good night, everyone. Stay well.